Well, hello and welcome back to another Bible lesson. Today we're going to be looking at woman at the well. Now, today we're going to be looking in John 4, chapter 4, verses 1 through 54. And therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, although Jesus himself never baptized, but it was the disciples. He left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria. Then he cometh to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now notice it says he must needs go through Samaria. Why go through Samaria? The Jews hated the Samaritans, and the Samaritans hated the Jews. The Samaritans were part of the Jewish and part Gentile. In about 721, Assyria defeated the northern 10 tribes of Israel, and most of them were carried into Assyrian captivity, never to return to Israel. This is known as the lost 10 tribes. Israel's capital was Samaria. Now the Assyrian king then transported Gentiles to the land, which in turn led to a mixing of the two races. It was until the middle of the 20th century it was customary to believe that the Samaritans originated from a mixture of people living in Samaria and other peoples at the time of the conquest of Samaria by Assyria. This was from 722 to 721 BCE. The biblical account is found in 2 Kings chapter 17. Now in this picture you see at the top Galilee, in the middle Samaria, and in the lower part of the picture you see Judea. The two white circles for Jerusalem and Judea, and Nazareth in Galilee. It was 70 miles between the two cities. It was about a 2.5 day walk. Now on this picture here, you notice the three white circles actually. The below is Jerusalem, which is Jesus and the disciples walked northward towards Nazareth, and they're going to go through Samaria, which is a straight line. Now that's 70 miles from Jerusalem to Nazareth, and Jesus and the disciples headed that way. It was a 2.5 day walk if you went through Samaria. Now in the middle circle, the white circle, is in Sychar. That's where Jesus met the woman at the well. Customarily, the Jews would not pass through Samaria, but they would take a bit longer to travel around Samaria, bypassing Samaria, which would add 3 days to their journey. Now, the Samaritans were Jews who had compromised their heritage, and they became known as half-breeds. The Jews in Israel despised the Samaritans, so they avoided Samaria. Now the Samaritans built their own temple, which the Jews considered pagan. The feud grew, and by the time of Christ, the Jews hated the Samaritans so much they crossed the river Jordan rather than travel through Samaria. And in this map you see they traveling across the Jordan River, bypassing Samaria, and then crossing the Jordan River again in order to enter Galilee. But Jesus said we must go through Samaria. In other words, we have to go through Samaria. I'm sure the disciples were appalled at this. They had never been through Samaria. Remember, the Jews hated the Samaritans. And it says, then cometh he, Jesus, to the city in Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. And Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. Now that's important. The 6th hour, remember, being 12 noon, the hottest part of the day. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Now look at the clock. You've seen this clock in my last video. We talked about it a full 24 hours. The day beginning in 6 p.m. in the evening, going through 12 hours later, which will be the 0 hour for day. And then the 6th hour you see is 12 p.m. No one would have been at the well at this time because it's the hottest part of the day. So this woman coming at noon, the hottest part of the day, there was no one there. She came because she knew no one would be there and she would draw her water. And that's because she was an outcast. And we'll find out later in the story why she was an outcast from the city. People shunned her. We'll find out in just a minute because she had many husbands and now she was living in sin with a man that she was not married to. So anyway, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, ask a drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. And then Jesus answered and said to her, If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman then saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw water with, and the well is quite deep. From whence then hast thou this living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and to drink thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? And Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever shall drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever shall drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into eternal life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I may thirst not, neither come hither to draw again. And Jesus said unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. And the woman answered and said, I have no husband. And Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands in the past, and he whom you now living with is not your husband. You're not married. And that this you said truly. The woman said, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Now the woman left her pot there at the well, and she took off into town. And she came to the men and saith to the men, Come see a man which told me all the things that I ever did. Is not this the Christ? And then they went out of the city and came unto Jesus. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him for the sayings of the woman, which testified, He told me all things that I ever did. So when the Samaritans were coming to him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there for 2 days. And many more believed because of Jesus' own words. So Jesus testified to the Samaritans, and many of them were believed on Jesus and were saved. The story of the woman at the well demonstrates that Jesus came to the least of these. He cares for the outcasts of society. The Samaritan woman was considered inferior because of her sex, her ethnicity, and her relationship history. But none of that mattered to Jesus because he saw her need for salvation, just like we all have a need for salvation. Thank you for watching this video. This was lesson number 2. Again, this is a new channel, so please like and share and subscribe to the channel and check back for weekly lessons. Thank you.